Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that the most powerful country on earth has placed a price on your head. Not for hacking banks, not for terrorism, but for ruling a country they say you destroyed. This is not a movie plot. This is the real story of Nicolás Maduro, a former bus driver who rose from the streets of Caracas to become one of the most controversial leaders of the 21st century. But before the sanctions, before the accusations, before the word dictator followed his name, there was a boy born into poverty, riding public buses, dreaming of dignity in a country overflowing with oil but starving for justice. Early life and poverty. Nicolás Maduro Moros was born on November 23, 1962, in Caracas, Venezuela. His family was not wealthy. They were working class, the kind of people who felt every economic shock long before politicians ever mentioned it. Maduro did not grow up surrounded by privilege. He grew up surrounded by struggle. At a young age, he dropped out of formal university education. Instead of lecture halls, he entered the world of labor. Instead of books, he learned from people. He became a bus driver in Caracas, a job that placed him face to face with ordinary Venezuelans every single day. Workers, mothers, students, the angry, the tired, the forgotten. This is where Maduro's political identity was formed, not in elite institutions, but in traffic, noise, sweat, and conversation. Political awakening. While driving buses, Maduro became involved in labor unions. He listened more than he spoke. He absorbed anger, frustration, and hope. In the 1980s and 1990s, Venezuela was technically a democracy, but one controlled by elites, foreign oil interests, and deep inequality. To Maduro and many like him, democracy felt hollow. Then came Chávez. The Chávez effect. In 1998, Chávez stormed Venezuelan politics like an earthquake, a former soldier speaking the language of the poor, a man promising to reclaim oil, dignity, and sovereignty. For Maduro, Chávez was not just a politician, he was a revelation. Maduro joined the Bolivarian movement, becoming one of Chávez's most loyal and disciplined followers. He wasn't charismatic, he wasn't theatrical, he was patient. That patience paid off. From unionist to diplomat. When Chávez took power, Maduro rose quietly. He became a member of parliament, then foreign minister. As foreign minister, Maduro built close ties with Cuba, Russia, China, Iran. This was not accidental. Chávez, and later Maduro, believed the United States was not a partner, but a threat, and Washington noticed. The chosen successor. In 2013, Hugo Chávez lay dying of cancer. Before his death, he made a historic announcement. If something happens to me, Nicolás Maduro should be president. That single sentence changed Maduro's life forever. When Chávez died, the nation mourned, and Maduro inherited not just power, but a revolution under siege. Part 2. Power, Collapse, and Confrontation. A fragile presidency. Maduro won the 2013 election narrowly. The country was already unstable. Oil prices were high, but cracks were forming. Venezuela's entire economy depended on oil, and when oil prices collapsed globally, everything collapsed with it. Economic freefall. Inflation exploded. Supermarkets emptied. Medicine disappeared. For ordinary Venezuelans, daily life became survival. For the world, the question became, was this socialism failing or sabotage at a global scale? Sanctions began. The United States blamed Maduro directly. Washington imposed economic sanctions targeting oil exports, banking systems, and international trade.
The goal, according to U.S. officials, was clear: pressure the regime until it falls. But sanctions don't hit presidents first, they hit people. Protests and blood in the streets. As shortages worsened, protests erupted. Some were peaceful, others turned violent. The media showed chaos, the government showed foreign interference. Two realities existed at once. Maduro accused the U.S. of economic warfare, coup attempts, and media manipulation. The U.S. accused Maduro of authoritarianism, corruption, and human rights abuses. The bridge between them burned completely. The indictment. In 2020, the conflict reached a shocking moment. The United States indicted Nicolás Maduro on drug trafficking charges. A bounty was announced. A sitting president officially wanted by the U.S. government. From bus driver to America's most wanted head of state.
Part 3. Military pressure, global power, and the unfinished conflict. By this point, the conflict between the United States and Venezuela is no longer just political. It is strategic, it is military, and most importantly, it is psychological. This is the stage where power is no longer spoken, it is demonstrated. Not with declarations, but with movements, with ships, with aircraft, with silence. The language of military presence. In modern geopolitics, war does not always begin with gunfire. Sometimes it begins with positioning. Naval fleets moving closer to strategic waters. Military exercises conducted for training purposes. Aircraft carriers appearing just beyond the horizon. These actions are rarely accidental. They are messages. Messages designed not just for governments, but for populations, investors, allies, and enemies alike. For Venezuela, surrounded by oceans rich in trade routes and oil access, military presence has always carried weight. A single fleet in the Caribbean can change the tone of diplomacy overnight. Power without invasion. One of the most misunderstood aspects of U.S. foreign strategy is this: the goal is not always invasion. In many cases, invasion is the least desirable option. Military power is often used to create pressure without occupation. Pressure that affects financial markets, shipping routes, insurance costs, and international partnerships. When military assets appear near a nation's borders, every decision inside that nation becomes heavier. Even routine choices feel risky. The role of military exercises. Joint military exercises are often presented as routine cooperation, but their locations matter, their timing matters, and who participates matters most of all. Exercises near sensitive regions serve multiple purposes: testing readiness, gathering intelligence, signaling alliances, and reminding opponents of capability. For Venezuela, these exercises have often coincided with moments of political tension, economic sanctions, or diplomatic standoffs. Coincidence is rare in geopolitics. Psychological warfare in the modern age. Today's conflicts are fought as much in the mind as on the ground. Military pressure works best when combined with media narratives, economic restrictions, and diplomatic isolation. The result is a constant atmosphere of uncertainty. Citizens begin to ask, what comes next? Markets hesitate. Allies reconsider. Opponents grow cautious. This is not chaos by accident. It is strategy. Venezuela's response. Faced with overwhelming global military imbalance, Venezuela has relied on three main responses. First, deterrence through visibility. Public military parades, equipment displays, training footage. Second, strategic partnerships. Strengthening ties with non-Western powers,
expanding military cooperation beyond the traditional sphere. And third, internal consolidation, ensuring loyalty within military and security structures. In situations like this, internal unity becomes a form of defense.
Why full-scale war never happens? Many viewers ask a simple question. If tensions are so high, why doesn't war break out? The answer is complex but clear. A direct military conflict would destabilize the entire region, disrupt global energy markets, force international intervention, and create unpredictable consequences. For global powers, uncertainty is expensive, containment is cheaper, pressure is safer. The global chessboard. Venezuela is not just a country in conflict, it is a square on a global chessboard. Every move involves more than two players: energy-hungry nations, regional neighbors, global financial systems, and ideological alliances. What looks like a bilateral conflict is in reality a multi-layered power struggle, and military presence is only one piece of that puzzle. The future: resolution or frozen conflict. So where does this leave the world? History suggests two possibilities: either gradual de-escalation through negotiation and compromise, or a long-term frozen conflict where tension never fully disappears. Frozen conflicts do not make headlines every day, but they shape lives quietly. They influence economies, they guide alliances, they define generations. Final reflection. The story of the United States and Venezuela is not just about oil, not just about ideology, not just about power. It is about how modern conflicts are fought without battles, how pressure replaces invasion, and how silence can be louder than war. This conflict is not over. It is simply waiting.